People, another episode of Fantasy Shot Callers live. And we are joined by, as always, JT, the Dynasty Don. And for a second week in a row, we got Fantasy Flojo. And last, but certainly not least, a special guest, the GOAT. Started it all, came from the bottom, now we here. Mr. Rob from Fantasy Football StateofMind. How we doing? How we living?
Oh, man, it's a pleasure to be on, guys. I've been enjoying the show. So I had to jump on with Joe and say, hey, man, you got to get me in this thing. So I appreciate you guys having me on.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And we're not brought to you by LaCroix this week.
It's not a great drink anyway, so. Topo Chico, baby, let's go.
Fair enough.
Topo Chico.
Topo Chico.
All right, so to kick us off, we are talking about someone that no one knows where he is, what he's doing, who he's doing, and that is Dalvin San Diego. Rumors are that he's talking to the Jets. The Jets are opening up a little more about him, but, he's still favored to go to Miami. I think if he goes to Miami, that impacts fantasy a lot more than going to the Jets, because I feel like in a new system, both of them could flourish because they have different capabilities. But in Miami, on the other hand, what do we think? How does that impact Miami's backfield more than anything?
All right, I'll go first. We touched on it last week, but when you look at what Miami has in the backfield right now, they have A-Chain, who's going to be kind of the gadget home run guy. He's going to run a lot of jet sweeps. Then you have Mostert and Wilson, who, I don't think anyone's going to confuse them as like world beaters or anything. They're serviceable running backs who know the Shanahan system. Those are the roles that we think we could see Dalvin Cook kind of take over. He's going to run the zone run scheme works with his skill set. But also just in terms of how we look at the NFL, how we look at the running back position right now, there are no more bell cows. Those don't exist anymore. So Miami is the ideal spot for someone like Dalvin Cook, who has a history of shoulder injuries. I think the last two seasons he finished the season, but he's kind of banged up come playoff time. We want to see him get like 225 carries, 50 catches. And I think Miami presents the ideal situation for him. And just my unknowledgeable opinion, I think he wants to be in a warm weather city after being in Minnesota for so long. He is a Florida guy, went to Florida State. I think it just checks all the boxes and it just makes too much sense.
Go ahead, Rob, talk to him.
Yeah, the Miami situation, it kind of sucks from a fantasy perspective, right? When you look at Mike McDaniel and what he likes to do with running backs and having a clear rotation and his affinity and love for Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson, it's like, what are you going to do? At the end of the day, you're gonna be joining an offense that's high octane, that's pass first, that has an identity, and the idea of having a small percentage of carries and target opportunity just doesn't seem fascinating to me. So even if he ends up in this backfield, at the end of the day, to me, he becomes kind of a flex option at best, just based on who they currently have and what we've seen in the past with this coaching staff.
I don't know, man. I'm not quite there, Rob. I think Dalvin walks into the room. Dalvin's the guy, bro. Like, I know McDaniel handpicked his dudes. They know the scheme. They know, the system. It would take Dalvin a second to get a little more accustomed, maybe to that zone scheme. But Raheem and Jeff Wilson, bro, let's be real. Like, Dalvin is a 10 times better player than both those cats. And in my opinion, he walks into, to kind of JT's point, he walks into 200 carries. We'll be using the passing game because he has been an efficient, running back out of the backfield. We've seen that multiple times in the past, obviously throughout his career. I just can't see a situation where, hey, Dalvin, welcome to the Dolphins. You're behind Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert. You know what I mean? Like, to me, that doesn't make any sense. I think he's got a little left in the tank. But I think it's pretty likely my man ends up there. Part of me hopes he goes to the Jets, right? To just join this now debacle, Hard Knocks, Aaron Rodgers, drama fest, and kill all the Brees Hall shares, because I'm not as high on Brees Hall as most people. And I'm assuming we'll get to that. But I think Dalvin still got some of the tank, bro. The dude's a man. I know he hasn't stayed healthy, but I mean, perennial RB1 like his entire career. So we can't forget about that.
See, that's the thing about Dalvin Cook, though. He doesn't shy away from injury. I mean, he wears a shoulder brace for 80% of his snaps. Like, he doesn't care. Like, he will throw his body, and that's why he's looking for the payday. And that's why, like, all these running backs are fighting the good fight. And so with Dalvin Cook going down to Miami, honestly, in that warm weather, maybe it releases a little tension in his shoulder, and he's all right, because we all know in the high points of the United States, you know, the traction can become a lot more conducive to injury.
I think you made a good point, though. You touched on the money part. I think that'll tell us what kind of role he'll have. If he gets, you know, let's say David Montgomery's contract is kind of like the barometer. If he gets more than that, we can assume that he's going to get the lion's share of the carries. If he gets kind of David Montgomery money or less, we could assume that, you know, he's going to be a part-time player. I think a nice dark horse is when DeAndre Swift pops his hamstring, he might be going to someone who's wearing a hat of a team in here. Might do a little ring chase.
I see the situation very similarly to Philly, right? Although they bring in Swift in, I do think that they have serviceable players that'll, you know, be in rotation. So as much as I love Dalvin Cook, because I've had him in a dynasty league for as long as I can remember, to me it seems like we're reaching that point in his career where, you know, we start to see a little bit of a decline, and I'm not as optimistic that he's going to get that David Montgomery style contract, because I feel like that would have already happened. He would have already signed if the money was there. So I don't know. We'll yet to be seen, but I guess I'm less optimistic with Cook at, you know, approaching 28 years old at this point.
Just a quick segue. I want to ask y'all, who would you rather have right now, Dalvin or Leonard Fournette?
Dalvin for me, bro.
Dalvin for me.
Dalvin.
Yeah. Uncle Lenny might eat a Dalvin Cook size.
Uncle Lenny's like 280 right now. Let's be real.
Hey, girl, you hungry?
Yeah.
I feel like Leonard Fournette's sailing into the sunset, man, to be honest with you. I think he's kind of – his football career is dwindling. He got the Super Bowl ring. He got paid.
He got paid. I looked at that. He got paid.
Though. He's only 27 or 28. Oh, I'm not there.
That's like 35 in running back years.
He's going to Dallas. I think he goes to Dallas, but
please no.
Mr. Pollard, please no.
Please no for Mr. Pollard. Please no.
Oh, I don't think he's going to affect Tony Pollard at all. I think he's just going to be there to take the in-between shots from like a middle linebacker coming down on a
from a center on a last play of the game. Hey,
left tackle.
All right, so speaking of running backs, we got a little ranking action for you. You know, 1 and 2s are easy, right? 1 and 2s are easy going into redraft. I mean, mostly in Dynasty too. But like, if you're in the first round, like, you got to realize like the heart of it. 3 through 7 are some of the hardest like shots to take, because you're banking so much draft capital on all of it. And so, you know, we're going to make that a little easy for you, or make it even more difficult if all of our rankings are fucked up. So, you know, we are doing running backs 3 through 7. All right, JT, I want to hear from you first. Who you got at 3? Let's just start at 3. We'll go one by one here.
Are we assuming 1, 2 is Bijan and CMC, or are we saying it's Eckler and CMC?
It's your rankings, bro. Running.
It's Eckler and CMC.
And we'll bash you.
Wow, just throwing me on the spot here. I think 3. Let me pull. I wrote it down. Someone else take the reins. Let me pull up my rankings.
Way to be prepared, JT. Come on.
I got so for me, it's Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler at 1, 2. And then what I've noticed at looking at all these rankings, consensus, and kind of looking at everyone's rankings, 3 through 7 looks different across the board. Like, I don't think in years past, we've kind of have a similar flow where you're like, oh, okay, there's a similar cadence. Not this year. So I think I threw a wrench in it too. I got Bijan at the 3 spot. Do you want me to go 4 through 7 here, or do you guys want to just stay at the 3?
Let's stay at 3 real quick, because I agree. like you have Saquon at 3?
Yep.
Okay. I have Saquon at 3 as well.
Hmm.
And I third that. But JT has Bijan at 2. So
No. I misspoke.
Okay, good.
I'm the biggest Algier guy.
That's
Algiers kind of studly, bro.
So I guess what differs, Rob? What differs you from having a more proven running back at 3? Is it the draft capital and the history behind first top 10 picks like Saquon, like Christian McCaffrey, or just
You basically reflect back on when the running backs have ideally had their best season in the league, and it comes down to either year 1 or year 2. We're looking at Saquon Barkley. He had, since 2000, the best rookie fantasy running back season in the last 22 years, right? From that point on, he didn't match his rookie production, right? This is when these running backs have the most juice, the most burst, the most opportunity. That's when teams to feed him the most as well, because they can handle it. And I feel like all of that points to Bijan getting, top 1 to 2 touch count. And if he gets 1 to 2 high level opportunities, then I'm thinking he's going to be able to kind of really put it all together and finish as a top 3 fantasy running back for me.
It was really hard for me to differentiate between 3 and 4, because I'll just start off with 4. I have Bijan at 4. Because, I was like, everything in my laurels wanted to put Bijan at 3, but I'm stuck in my old ways a little bit, where I won't reap the benefits of rookie running backs in prior years, and I was burned by Ezekiel Elliott when he had that monster of a rookie season. So I do have Bijan at 4, but I think they're in tandem for me personally.
Are you guys at all concerned about the holdout situation? Another report coming out that he might hold out week 1. What's your thought process on that?
I jumped on this. We touched on it, and I'm staying consistent with how I feel. I just don't think the Giants can afford to not pay him. Mm-hmm. And everyone wants to point at the Le'Veon Bell situation, but this, like we touched on, D'Angelo Williams was right behind Le'Veon that season. The Steelers knew they could plug in D'Angelo Williams and get 90% of what they get out of Le'Veon anyway. The Giants don't have that. They don't have that at their leisure. I mean, who do they have? They have Eric Gray. They have Breida still.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Matt Breida, do your thing, baby.
Whoever it is, it's just not Saquon. And I just think they have no choice. They have to. And also, if you look at the Giants historically, they are very, very averse to letting their guys that they determine to be their guys, walk out. And it's just, how do you go into a locker room and you pay Danny Dimes $40 million and you don't take care of your best player? It just doesn't make sense to me. But hey, Joe Shane is there. He's shown a propensity to not. He comes from an organizational background where they don't emphasize the running back position. I guess the counter to that is they've never really had a Saquon, So I just he's too much of that offense. He has too much opportunity, and I don't see how they. If you told me they went out and traded for Stephon Diggs, or they got a elite level player, sorry, Darren Waller, truthers, then I'd probably be a little more apt to be like, okay, they can play hardball with Saquon, but I just don't see it.
Yeah, he was their offense last year, and then he respects things led the team in targets too. So I get it.
Yeah.
Every year. So I'll just add a couple of things. So it seems like Bijan and Saquon are interchangeable for basically all of us, right? The Saquon holdout to me isn't concerning. Like, I think they brought $14 million to the table, right? It's $1 million under what he wanted, but I believe he will settle for that. And to JT's point too, it's like, how can everyone walk in, not just Dimes and Saquon, like the entire organization? How could you walk into the locker room and know you're paying Dimes $40 million, you can't pay Saquon $14 or $15 million? Like, to me, that could potentially affect the entire locker room, right? Like, Saquon is our guy, bro. He's been this team's identity since he came into the league, and there's no way they let this man not play or hold out or do whatever. He's going to get paid. I have a feeling it'll be as soon as Monday. And then I'll just tie this back to Bijan, right? Like, we all believe, we know the talent, we know Arthur Smith, we saw what Algier did in that offense, right? There doesn't feel like there's a safer player, right? So maybe that's why you can argue Bijan at 3 because of the youth, because of the durability, because of the scheme, because of what we've seen the Falcons do in the past, and because we've seen a lesser player still perform and have 1,000 yards, right? My only question is the offense as a whole, Desmond Ridder, and then the reports that have come out that they want to use, CPAT out of the backfield and get him more back into that role, right? So how many receptions will Bijan actually see? In my opinion, if it's not what we're hoping or what we think, that kind of caps his upside, right? We all know cheat code in fantasy, RBs that catch the rock. So CPAT is old. I'm not saying he's going to be a pivotal part in this offense, but there could be potentially, 50, 40 targets that Bijan isn't seeing because they're going to get CPAT on the field. Because my man's still, as old as he is, he can still ball, man. And he still does work with minimal touches. But it doesn't seem like we're confusing too many people just yet because it's pretty much a consensus top 4.
My one argument was going to be that,
Miami.
how do you invest such high draft capital and not utilize this guy to his upward potential? But then you look at Kyle Pitts and you're like, well, they're not.
Yeah.
There was a meme that had that, right?
Yeah. Shout out to Atlanta. Wow.
I have Taylor as my running back 4.
Okay, my bad.
Just so I really think the JT slanders reached a certain point where it's just kind of wild to me, and that's assuming health. Like if you want to roll Bijan's certainly safer in terms of just from a health standpoint. I really think me and Flojo have talked about this ad nauseum that the Colts really had probably the biggest coaching upgrade on the offensive side of the ball, going from Parks Frazier, to Shane Steichen. And I really think that it's very running back friendly. And I have Taylor at the RB4, pending health, of course. Like if we go into August and he's still dealing with bone spurs in his ankle, then yeah, he's going to drop. But as of right now, the guy was the 101 last year in some super flex startup. So I think it's been a bit of an overreaction.
Go right into your 5.
Well, hold on. I just, before we segue, I want to hear Rob's thoughts on that take, because as we were doing these, JT, like I have JT not as high as I once did. And I forgot about all of our conversations, but the only reason why I don't, and we'll get to that later, is because there's a couple players as we're speaking today, right? July, 12th, 13th. The Cleveland Browns haven't signed anybody. So that's the only situation where I got Chubb a little bit higher than maybe I did once initially. But I want to hear Rob kind of talk through, concerns with AR, whatever it is, JT's health. Like, what are your thoughts exactly on JT? And then I guess we could segue to 5.
Yeah, similarly, Chubb's 4 for me. So he's climbed significantly up my rankings as well. Jonathan Taylor for me is a little bit lower. But I still see him as a top 6 fantasy running back at the end of the day. I think when you have someone that can obviously shown capabilities to be both efficient as a runner as well as efficient as a pass catcher, great offensive line, a new rookie quarterback, it all kind of just points to we need to get this guy involved, right? As to how that looks like, that's yet to be known. But for me, when I look at age, durability, as well as usage potential, JT's is as safe as it gets for me. So I'm a little higher, I think, than most. I've seen him fall in 10 in some cases.
Yeah.
So you said you had Nick Chubb at 4, right?
Yeah, love me some Nick Chubb this year.
I am right there with you. I have him at 5. So Nick Chubb 5, all the opportunity. He could even see an increase in pass catches this year. And, he can run the ball with the best of them. If Derrick Henry takes one step back, Nick Chubb is the best pure runner in the NFL. And so, with the Browns evolving and Deshaun Watson learning the system and actually being on the field, it's like this Browns offense could take a leap. And I think the pivotal point in this offense is Nick Chubb. It's not Deshaun Watson. It's not Amari Cooper. It's not even if for some odd reason, strange reason, DeAndre Hopkins actually showed up there. I mean, it's not any of them. It is Nick Chubb to be able to slow the pace, to be able to run that offense in the way that, he's meant to be. I mean, he's the most tenured offensive player there, and he deserves to be able to run that game. And I mean, honestly, if from what I've seen from Deshaun Watson last year, granted, like he was, a year removed from not playing. I mean, Nick Chubb is the best offensive piece that they have still.
I love Nick Chubb. From weeks 1 through 10 last year, he was the RB1. Like, we're talking about someone who is capable of being a 1.01 when given the opportunity. And that was with Kareem Hunt. That was with, or I should say without a pass catching upside. So now without Kareem Hunt, that vacates about 44 targets that Nick Chubb is now going to be potentially able to take. Like, you're talking about, I wouldn't shock me if Nick Chubb finishes as the 1.01 and we're talking about him in the top 2 next year.
Yeah. And in the second round, you can draft him in the second round. Like, that's just it's bonkers. You can get an elite wide receiver if you're drafting like towards the end of the draft. You get an elite wide receiver in the first round, and then in the second round, you grab Nick Chubb and bada boom, let's go.
Yeah, that's a good strategy. That's usually my strategy right there too.
Mr. Justin Jefferson at the 102 in Vegas last year.
Let's go. That's right.
Worked out pretty well.
So we got some more 5s. I've already talked about my 5.
Yeah, I had Chubb at 5, so you guys illuminated everything, and I don't think there's really much more. The only thing that's kind of like gave me pause in putting JT over Chubb was I just like JT's divisional slate a little bit better. And Watson historically doesn't really feed the running back position, although this is a completely different offense than what we saw in Houston. Stefanski does, emphasize the running back position. So those concerns are kind of minimal. You could flip-flop them. If you have Chubb at 4, hell, if you have Chubb at 3, I wouldn't really argue with it.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of sample size when it comes to Nick Chubb and Deshaun Watson because of what we saw last year. There's just one gleam of spotlight, however, when it came to Week 18. Chubb, he was used on 75% of the snaps, and he ran a route on 71% of his dropbacks, so he caught 5 of 6 targets, 22% target share. Like, if we see half of that on a consistent basis each week, then we're talking about a pretty damn good running back. You know what I mean?
Yep. No, 100%.
Which is wild, and like I said, like that's why I so was looking forward to diving into this, right? Because I got Chubb at 6. I got to stay with my guy Tony Pollard at 5, right? But the reality is, like, you can play this however you want. The reasons why I like Tony Pollard at 5 over Chubb, like, the argument isn't even that valid if I'm being real, because everything you guys just said almost makes more sense because we've seen Chubb do it as a pure runner, right? Tony Pollard has been a part-time player at best. My man's efficiency, though, is unmatched, right? What he does with the touches he has, literally, there are very few players that can do that, right? And I like Dallas to still continue to be a top 5 offensive points per game, right? I trust what we've seen consistently from them versus what we've seen from the Browns, right? You got weather, you got a tough division. There's a couple things that don't align as nicely as, say, what the Cowboys are looking forward to in a dome, right? But can Tony Pollard carry the rock 20 times, right? Can Tony Pollard take this next step and to be able to absorb, this increased workload is the main question. And if that does happen and my man continues to stay efficient, you got to love what you saw last year, man. They didn't re-sign Zeke, and I just believe he's in such a great situation. I trust the offense, I trust the team a little bit more. But the reality is the more we talk through it, it's like, I'm good with either, right? So I think my strategy going into this is there's so many players that are so close. I know you guys play in quite a few leagues. I think Ben is the only other degenerate like myself that plays in over 10. So I'm going to sprinkle in a little bit of everybody because people are so close in rankings. It's like, I got a little bit of Pollard here. I'm going to take a little Chubb here. I got a little Saquon here. I'm going to take a little Bijan here. And I think diversifying a little bit and having some of these players who are so close just makes this game we love so much even more fun.
Yeah, I hope Melinda's not listening, but I think I'm in the 20 league category.
Attaboy. Let's go.
Hey, dude, don't sleep on me too, man. I was in 16 last year. So.
Yeah.
So then we're all at home and we all neglect our families right around September. So it's beautiful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, speaking of Tony Pollard, I have him at 6. I think the opportunity is there. I just truly, and this is as of right now, I mean, I truly think they will sign someone and it will impact his opportunity in Dallas, even if it's small. But I have him at 6 because of what literally everything Flojo just said. Opportunity is there. His touchdowns like come on big plays, and especially if you're playing with like 40 plus, it's like he needs to be drafted in the early second round. Like he won't go past the 202 if that's the case. And I mean, just his pass catching ability is super close to so many other wide receivers in the league. I mean, as of right now, the way Saquon looked last year, I'd say Tony Pollard has more pop than Saquon. In just my watching tape, watching him pop. I mean, look, Saquon got fed. Saquon led his team in targets, right? I mean, his efficiency is not that great if you look at the metrics. And I mean, the opportunity is there. So, like, if someone comes in if they sign Kareem Hunt, that would just be the worst thing for Tony Pollard, in my opinion.
No, I think Hunt's shot. I think if he had anything left, people would have already signed him. My guy's got like 87, 88 speed. He's just a plotter at this point. I think Kareem Hunt validates your positions on Tony Pollard, if anything. But thank you for saying that about Pollard having more juice than Saquon. That saves me from the aggregators on not having Bijan in my top 6. Might not even be in my top 7.
Nice.
I think we're really underestimating that a rookie running back's going to come in and see 8-man fronts because they're going to say, Ritter, you got to throw the ball.
That's a good point.
He's going to see 8-man fronts for the first 8 weeks. And, he's in a weaker division. The Saints kind of have a good run defense, although they lost a couple guys. I really think I think Bijan's going to be like a week's 10 plus guy. And then he'll like end the season super strong and then start next season as the 101. So Bijan's not in my top 7.
Ooh,
spicy.
That is spicy. I was going to just add one kind of final point on Tony Pollard. I was shocked. I didn't even realize that he ran over 1,000 yards last year, given the opportunities that he had. Like if you look at what Ezekiel Elliott did last year, he carried the ball 231 times, 876 yards on the ground, 12 touchdowns. You look at that, you think, what was left for Pollard? And yet Pollard, with just 193 attempts, went over 1,000 yards, averaged 5.2 yards a clip, 9 touchdowns, finishes the RB8. Like, there's a lot to be excited about when you look at Tony Pollard. There's just that uncertainty of can he handle it is really kind of that thing that looms over his value at the end of the day. But I'm with you, man. As Flojo with having him this high up, I think it's a good move.
Matt Hamilton, how does one – I think we answered this a little bit of Lenny, Zeke, or another running back free agent signing affect your ranking of Pollard. So I guess, Rob, where would you have Pollard if they signed a veteran like this?
I feel like it's an expected move that they should do just from a football perspective. It's like you got to add a little bit of depth there. So I'm with JT where I feel kind of comfortable if they do add a veteran presence, especially a Lenny, that makes me feel a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
So I think that just solidifies that RB1 top 12 overall player for me. If they do sign one, which is kind of counterintuitive, like you think less opportunities, but we saw what this guy did with 200 plus less opportunities. So yeah, I'm with it. Get Lenny in Dallas.
I would say as long as it's not Dalvin. As long as it's not Dalvin. Anyone but Dalvin.
You guys are sleeping on Rojo, bro. What's the deal? Rojo
finally, I was waiting for it.
Why is he not getting any love? Like, come on, man.
No.
Come on.
And my 7 is the man in Foxborough, Ramondre Stevenson.
Ooh.
Wow.
The PPR value he has is just tremendous. I don't see them signing anyone of value that would take away from his stock. And of course, right now we're in the fantasy rumor mill. Like, oh, look at Pierre Strong. He really had a great session today. Like, look at this workout video. I mean, like, we're just here to absorb all this shit. And it's Ramondre is the dude. And he showed last year that he can actually hold on to the ball. Remember a couple years ago, and it was like him and Damian Harris, and each of them would get benched every other play because they couldn't hold on to the rock.
Jonah Gray.
But yeah, Ramondre is my 7.
Wow, that's wild. I'm assuming this is redraft. I got King Henry at 6, and I really don't understand why Henry's falling out of anyone's top 8, but I'm not measuring him like other running backs. The guy is literally a freak that is in a class of athlete on his own. And 7 for me is Breece Hall.
Oh, whoa.
Breece Hall, baby. Wow. I don't see how anyone could watch last year's. I'm not worried about it.
I'm not worried about it.
Cue the Tim Robinson. Breece is my 7 right now. I just think Aaron Rodgers is going to get them in the red zone consistently. And who am I going to be worried about? Michael Carter? Mm-hmm. I'm not worried about that.
So let's make sure we save that, right? Because we have a segue talking about JaVonte, and I got a couple of things that we can correlate to that, Mr. JT Cubano. But I want to hear Rob's 7.
For me, it's Derrick Henry. Yeah, I find him always, for some reason, in the second round of drafts, in the middle of the second round of drafts sometimes, especially when it comes to underdog when I'm doing a best ball draft. He's still the guy. Still got the guy. He still dominates. He's still going to get touches. He still has a super fantasy-friendly schedule. So for me, why not? Derrick Henry is a pretty safe end of the first round pick for me.
So I got Derrick Henry at 8. I got JT at 7. Something about Derrick Henry though, where we saw Derrick Henry versus the Titans. The Texans, right? Every single year, it's like 202. Sign him up. Here's the problem. This is what I heard today. He plays the Texans. I think 16 and 18, right? Or maybe 15 and 17. Only in the fantasy playoffs. So you got to pray your squad can get to the fantasy playoffs before you get Derrick Henry versus the Texans. And I'll just add this on Derrick Henry too, right? I think last year he had 30-plus receptions, right? Basically doubled his highest total in his career for a season. And I'm the guy, bro. I don't ever draft Derrick Henry. And every year I'm like, damn, man, like, what am I doing? He's not sexy enough. He doesn't have the upside. He doesn't catch the rock. But every year when I play against him, he makes me remember, hey, Joe, you should have drafted me, bro, because I still got that, man. And he's a straight baller. But
got him.
I'll just add on JT to my 7, right? JT as my 7. So we're worried about AR, right? We're worried about all these other things. We've touched on a little bit, right? The dude is still a straight stud. And this is what I thought about too. Like, if I continually like JT, there has to be a part of me that is buying Anthony Richardson, right? Because this offense is going to run through him. To JT's point, you got to love the coach. You got to love the scheme. They're taking that Eagles offense. They're saying, hey, look, we're plugging in similar type players. Obviously, the weapons aren't the same, but it's like it's close enough. Like, it's a gross fitting puzzle with a couple puzzle pieces missing, right? But you can still kind of see what that puzzle picture is. And that's kind of what they're doing with this offense in Indy now. And I just think, man, like, Anthony Richardson just needs to be okay, right? He needs to be efficient enough to move the ball, to put JT in positions, to get red zone carries, end zone, within the 5. And yes, he's going to vulture some, but I still just believe in this man's talent. And I guess I'm buying more into AR than I think I am, although I'm not obviously taking him in a redraft league. But there's something to be said, bro. Like, imagine if AR balls. Right? Imagine if AR straight balls and it's like, oh my God. And then now it's like, we told you about JT, bro. We knew he was going to do work. And it's like, nah, man. So we'll see.
Albert's asking, where do you guys have Josh Jacobs at? Because, he was, running back 3 in PPR last year?
I got him at 9.
I got him at 9 as well.
I have him 12.
So talk to that real quick, JT, because there's definitely a couple concerns I got with who their starting quarterback is in Las Vegas.
Yeah. I think it's just going to be a downgrade on the offense, and I think we could see a midseason trade there. I think the Raiders are closer to a teardown than they are making the playoffs. The only and I'm concerned, he had a very heavy workload last year, and I think he was buoyed by a couple 90-yard touchdowns. So it's kind of hard to kind of bank on that from year to year. I'm kind of historically, I'm kind of low on Josh Jacobs, lower than I should be. I still have him as a RB1, but I really think just kind of I don't think we're going to see it. I think we'll see it catch up to him, and I just don't like the O-line. I don't like that defense. They're going to have to throw to keep up, and the counter to that would be, they're going to run to protect a shitty defense. I don't know. I like other guys' situations better. I probably have a surprise ahead of Josh Jacobs. I have Najee ahead of Josh Jacobs, so I really like the Steelers draft. And I think people really forgot that for 12 weeks last year he was dealing with the Liz Frank injury, and I think we see guys get their burst back after healing their Liz Frank. So I mean they added Broderick Jones and Darnell Washington to the right side, and as Flojo, you run right. We run right. So I think the Steelers are going to be really good, a good rushing attack. Historically, they are as well.
And Najee's a value too. I've seen him drop significantly as well. So I love him in the third round.
I think people just aren't understanding that he was hurt, and I think this is probably going to be his best season. Also, the guy can catch the ball. The guy's a monster, and I remember worried about Jalen Warren.
I remember during a live, me and Flojo got into a bit of an argument with Najee coming out as a rookie. He hated him, and I guess I was right on that one.
Yeah. Okay, so and I still don't like him very much. But here's the thing, right? You want to mention the injury, and I get that. I know back half of the season he finished, I believe, top 10. But so let's talk about that rookie year, top 5. Okay, so let's talk about that rookie year, right? Completely, you mentioned that word buoy. I like that. Completely buoyed by the receptions and the checkdowns of the refrigerator, Ben Roethlisberger, right? So that completely buoyed his value. All right, and we want to talk about efficiency. You mentioned Saquon. Joe Mixon was pretty inefficient on the ground last year. Najee Harris is that, bro. He is a volume play, and he's going to see that volume, right? And I believe that he is a safe player to take. But when I'm coming around and I'm in the second round, right, there's receivers, especially Amon-Ra. Here we go again. I can't say my man's name right. There's players and receivers in the second round that I like a little bit more. They give me a little bit more juice, where if I could take a nice RB that I like in the first round, right, I'm not necessarily targeting Najee. But if we go to, say, Rob's strategy, where I'm taking a receiver, maybe Chubb's there, Pollard's there, you settle for a guy like Najee. Like, that doesn't get me excited because I know what the type of player that he is. And he's a 3.3, 3.4 yards per carry type of cat, right? He does not do anything that I'm like, damn, this dude's special. So I still don't like him, Rob. But to your point, yes, you did win that rookie season argument.
Yeah, and my argument wasn't necessarily on the talent level, like this guy's coming out as like an elite guy. It was more like he's just going to go in a situation where he's going to catch 90 passes.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see. We talked a bunch about 3 through 7. We sprinkled in a little more joy for your rankings, outlying the 1 and 2, and even past the 7 a little bit. So I mean, I think we should maybe jump around and stick on running backs. What do we think about JaVonte and Perine this year? Because rumors and all this, J.K. Dobbins 2.0 hype is coming out with JaVonte being ready for week 1, because literally I feel like I'm Bill Murray and it's Groundhog Day, because it's literally the same time last year this shit happened. So maybe it's just the same beat reporter covering all this stuff. And it's like, well, I'm just going to put this out there to mess with the fantasy realm. And but I mean, I personally think that Perine outscores JaVonte this year in fantasy points.
I don't think that's crazy. That's not crazy from a PPR standpoint. And we know Sean Payton is kind of like an egalitarian play caller for the running back position. So it wouldn't be surprising if it was a 50-50 split there. Also on the JaVonte thing, I feel like a lot of that noise is like his camp saying he's going to be ready, because the Broncos have been very, very cautious on saying he's going to be ready week 1. So when you hear like a random like blurb saying JaVonte is going to be ready to go week 1 and there's like no source, to me that kind of screams that it's his agent or it's his camp saying he's going to be ready to go.
I like to follow the money on this one, guys. Like he was signed to a pretty hefty deal this offseason. When you're looking at Samaje Perine, $7.5 million, he makes more than Javonte Williams. Like there's an investment there when a team brings someone in and is willing to pay him that much, that you're not just going to be a complimentary piece. You're going to be someone that's going to be a big factor in the offense. I personally don't like taking players coming off of a huge injury. So I look at Breece Hall and I got a little bit of caution. I look at JaVonte with that same sort of caution. So yeah, to me, Samaje is kind of like not a league winner, but he can probably spin off the good half of the season being a reliable piece that you start in without hesitation each week. So that's how high I am on Samaje, and I'm not believing that JaVonte is just going to stroll in week 1 and get 20 carries.
I mean, my man literally tore almost every muscle and ligament in his knee. Like they're naming off these injuries, and they're like, and then like it didn't end. It was crazy. And so like for people to think like, oh yeah, he's gonna be fine, he's gonna be a great value in the 6th or 7th round. No, just stop. Like I think he would come out probably on one knee instead of one leg, because his injury was worse than the J.K. Dobbins injury.
Okay, so I'll add, I do love Samaje, and I still am one of the biggest JaVonte troopers, right? I love the kid. I love what he does. My man breaks tackles, second to, I think, Nick Chubb in the league. I'm not taking him this year because of that exact fact, right? We all learned our lesson last year with J.K. Dobbins, right? And then he re-injured. He had to have another surgery. He came back, and my man was hobbled, getting 40 up the sideline, bro, and he couldn't even move. And you're like, poor guy. And then, but end of the season, bro, he was right, and he was doing work, But this is what I want to segue to Breece Hall, to you, JT, on why you have him so high, right? I get that Javonte's knee injury was worse, right? 3, maybe he tore all 3 and the meniscus. Breece Hall tore his ACL and his meniscus, right? I get that they're both young players, right? There's been 2 RBs ever to come back next year from an ACL tear and ball out. That's AP and Jamal Charles, right? Is Breece Hall either of them? I don't think so. So like for my man to continue to hold ADP, right, and continue to hold that value when nobody's worried about that, nobody has any concerns about that, concerns me, and that's a player that I'm not quite taking at his ADP, because I do believe he needs to fall a little bit and be in the same category, not necessarily as JaVonte in the 7th, but my man is getting too much love because we don't know what that's going to look like. And yes, you mentioned Michael Carter. He isn't that good at football. But my point is, bro, is this man's return to top end value on what we saw last year isn't going to be there until week 4, 5, 6. What if he comes back and re-injures too because everyone's pressing him too hard? You know what I'm saying? There's just so many factors to where I can't trust Breece Hall. But to answer this question, man, I am out on JaVonte as much as that hurts me this year. And Perine is going to do work.
Just a touch real quick. I mean, the difference between Breece and JaVonte for me is athletic profiles. I think Breece has that one-of-one athlete profile versus JaVonte ran a 4.6. relies on breaking tackles. I just don't see him bouncing back as strongly from the injury. So it's just kind of like, it's a zag. It's definitely a zag. If you're out on any running back that tore his knee the previous season, that's probably the safest play. But right now, when we have running backs clustered, I just think Breece has that athletic profile that kind of elevates him to a different level. But I did want to touch on Perine real quick, especially, what's the biggest thing that we've seen with Russell Wilson throughout his career? He takes too many sacks. That's the biggest issue with Russell throughout his career. And what we saw Sean Payton do with another short quarterback who took way too many sacks, Drew Brees, he implemented a short passing game with running backs that are strong in pass protection or can run a good route tree out of the backfield. So if you're a Perine truther, that's something you want to look at and you probably want to exploit. I really, really think that's going to be the main emphasis for Sean Payton this year. He refortified the front. He got McGlinchey. He's gotten some blocking tight ends. I think they're really going to emphasize on keeping Russell upright and clean and getting the ball out of his hands. That plays into Perine much more than JaVonte.
For some reason, Samaje Perine seems like he's been in the league for 10 years.
Yes.
Doesn't it? When you think about Samaje, he's 27.
Beard and a bald head.
He's got old face. He's got old face syndrome.
Yeah. So I mean, at the end of the day, he's also proven that he can, be a productive pass catcher for 51 targets last year, obviously, and work there with Joe Mixon. So I think there's a lot to like. I think call me crazy, but Samaje Perine could win some leagues in 2023.
He could be the next Jerick McKinnon.
Yeah. Glizzy grab bag,
Glizzy, the glizziest. All right, let's see. Do we have? Oh, so we have these committees now, right? These committees of running backs, because there is really no true workhorse running back. There's like Derrick Henry, and I mean, even in Pittsburgh, I mean, there's still a duo. So we have young committee backfields, and I think we should start with the first one and the one that everyone's talking about, at least if you're like us and it's beginning of July and you're already 4 months into fantasy football. Kenneth Walker III and Zach Charbonnet. I've heard these other two clowns talking about Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet, but Rob, I want to hear what you got.
Man, I know, like, if you've seen Pete Carroll long enough, and once he sees a running back that has proven himself, he tends to give that guy opportunity. And I think what Kenneth Walker proved last year is that he's a guy that can be relied on. He's a guy that could have that game-winning burst and that breakaway touchdown at any given moment. So as much as Charbonnet, as talented as he is, as dual threat as he can be, I'm still high on Kenneth Walker. I have him as my RB13 going into the year. Despite everything that's going on, I'm just looking at the track record of what we've seen in Pete Carroll, and I'm thinking, yeah, I'm just going to stick with that with Kenneth Walker. I think he's the guy. So, not much analysis there. I'm just basing it off of what we've seen with Pete.
No, I mean that's huge, and I haven't heard that before. So that's a great point. I mean, because it all boils down to how the coaches want to use their players.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I feel like Kenneth Walker is FloJo's new JaVonte. He will die on the sword and on Kenneth Walker.
I mean, look, I do love the dude, right? Like Rob touched on it, and I'm a big tape guy, baby. Tape don't lie, right? And I don't know if it's necessarily like a good thing to say where you can watch 12 or 13 hours of football all day on Sunday, Monday, and Thursday. But unfortunately, that's what I enjoy and I love doing. And, shout out, or actually not shout out, DirecTV killed everybody by selling to YouTube. And I'm a little concerned because I hate the change. I don't know what it's going to look like. I'm very nervous.
You can still get Red Zone on DirecTV.
I know, bro, but there's something about watching 8 games at once and your brain is just like, hangover equations popping out of your head, trying to and just figure it out. But here's something that I love about Kenneth Walker, right? And Rob touched on it, is when you watch this man run the ball, the stuff that he did with the ball in his hands, right? What we saw last year, like special, right? This dude is a special player, game breaker, houses 80-yard touchdowns. He does things that you want to see as an explosive player in the league, right? And, Nick Chubb light, right? He did work. He didn't get much run the first 6 weeks of the season, I believe. And then Pete Carroll's like, hey, you're good at football. Here's the ball, bro, and do your thing. So I'm just to Rob's point and to what the player has shown on tape. And when you break down what he does, he's a special player, dude. And my man's going to continue to do work. Yes, I know 3rd-round draft capital. Yes, I know Sharps is a decent player in college. But I just am not sold specifically on a UCLA running back, okay? And a player that just does not step to what this man can do on the field. It's just not, it's not there. It doesn't equate. It doesn't even match up. So I'm riding high with K-Dub.
We've seen this before, guys. Remember Chris Carson and Rashad Penny?
You beat me to it.
Like, another running back that came from the Pac-12 in San Diego State, was drafted in the first round by Seattle, and the idea was, well, that I guess they're in a time split. No, Carson completely took over the entire backfield, was a top 10 fantasy running back for the next 2 seasons, right? So it's like, again, follow the history of what we've seen with this coaching staff, and I think Kenneth Walker's going to surprise people.
And unfortunately, the injury history too.
Yeah, I think you should have no fear in best ball. I think in best ball, this isn't an issue. I think I'm buying the ADP drop on Kenneth Walker, man. I'm not a big Charbonnet fan. He's not that great of a prospect. The guy's 24 already, right? I don't see it. I also don't really see he's coming from the Chip Kelly offense to the Pete Carroll offense. There's a little bit of nuance there. Shane Waldron doesn't run the same kind of scheme. I really think the Seahawks just had extra draft capital and they just lit one on fire here. Kenneth Walker to me is just a significantly better player. And until it's said otherwise, I'm rolling it. I love the Chubb Light. I really feel like he is Chubb Light. That's a great shout.
How do you feel about that though, Benny, being the only Charbonnet truther probably in this box?
I stand alone. Stand forever.
Hello.
I mean, I like players that can catch the ball in PPR format. Kenneth Walker had a few receptions here and there last year, but I mean, they used Travis Homer like instead of Kenneth Walker. I mean, there's something to say, and like just the whole Seattle's offense is still, it doesn't have an identity yet. It will be able to see more because of who they drafted. They drafted JSN in the first, and then they drafted Charbonnet in the second. They traded up to draft Charbonnet, I'm pretty sure, to draft him in the second. And so I think they're going to utilize him. I don't think he's going to be as great as like I've said in the past month or so this year. But, I mean, we never know. And like I said, the injuries happen in Seattle, just like in Baltimore. It's just like some curse. And in Detroit, like all this stuff, like it happens consistently. And like it screams like one season wonders, right? Like, I mean, the one season wonders can come, halfway through the season, something happens where Charbonnet comes in and steals a lot of the opportunity.
Breaking news: Zach Charbonnet gets Rashad Penny's old locker.
Okay, let's carry
on. But there was a recent report. I don't know if you guys saw it, from a Seahawks beat writer that says that they expect Kenneth Walker to see upwards of 17 plus touches per game this season. Right, so
makes sense.
Yeah,
and also he's going to get the red zone opportunities, and I think that's what you look for there. I don't think they're going to go to Charbonnet in the red zone.
Charbonnet.
Shout out to fantasy football expert Ari. I pulled up an article that he wrote for Fantasy Pros that just dropped that. So
Ari doing work forever, bro.
Doing work, bro. He's still 22.
So I know, right?
Yeah.
we jumped in a little late.
So I mean, do we think Jaylen Warren impacts Najee at all this year?
Nope.
No.
It's pretty hard to make that argument. Like Jaylen Warren was, pretty efficient. I think he averaged almost 5 a clip, or he did average 5 a clip, obviously on a small sample size. The dude's not a scrub though. You know what I mean? Like, let's not try to downplay like Jaylen Warren's track. Like, I'm not saying he's going to affect Najee, but like the dude is still a decent player. And he, on paper, when you break it down, outperformed Najee in a couple categories, right? But in my opinion, what Najee showed at the end of last season, literally no concern. This guy's going to take, anything of reasonable, measure from Najee. So in my opinion, the answer, easy answer is no, but I like to talk a lot.
Yeah, and I like to talk a lot too. And what I haven't said, though, is smash that like, smash that subscribe. It goes a lot further than you think. It helps us help you. So, let's help each other. Enough about running backs. Let's get into a little wide receiver talk. Wide receivers 3 through 7, like I've said, and for me personally, this is just me. I have Jay Jettas at 1 and Cup at 2. So, you can take that what you will.
Whoa.
I'm with you. I have
same.
Whoa. 1 and Cup at 2.
Go ahead, JT. Talk to us about Jamar Chase's upside.
Yeah, no, it's definitely it's J.J. Chase for me. I don't know. Is that controversial?
No, Chase is 3. So.
I just it's hard for me to trust the Rams offense until we see them all back together. I don't know what the hell they're going to do. I mean, they don't look like a playoff team, but I trust Sean McVay implicitly. They're going to be behind in games. So if you want to put Cup 2, that's perfectly fine. I mean, he's my wide receiver 3, full disclaimer. So it's not like I'm thinking it's crazy, but there is a big line of demarcation from Jefferson to Chase for me. I just think Chase is that guy.
Yeah, for me, it's Cooper Kupp. I mean, he still led all wide receivers in points per game during the time that he was healthy last year. So even with that inconsistency in the offense, I think it's proven that the offense funnels through him, and he has the unique ability to get open under all circumstances. And so I think Jamar Chase has the ability to pop off for 15, 16 touchdowns. 17 touchdowns could lead the league, which gives him a little bit more upside. But when I'm looking for like that safety, I'm like, oh man, I just want 20 plus points for my wide receiver 1. Then give me the safety, Cooper Kupp.
That O-line, man, though, really, really terrifies me, man.
We'll sign Zeke. We'll be all right.
You're one blindside miss from having Stetson Bennett at quarterback, and that's kind of terrifying for me. So
I could see that. I could see why that would encourage the chase over Kupp.
Yeah. That being said, I love Kupp. I mean, I have him third for a reason. He's
and also, I mean, opportunity and share, right? You got T. Higgins on the other side of Jamar Chase. Who do you have aside from Cooper Kupp? Puka Nacua, the rookie, Tutu Atwell, Van Jefferson, the ghost of Tyler Higbee.
You got killer Cam Akers, bro. You forgot the 1B. Like, what are we talking about? We're worried about the Rams' identity. JT's concerned. All right. I am too. And you had a great point with the O-line, right? And Stetson Bennett, shout out. What is he, 26? However old he is in the league. No 2 national championships, though. You can't hate on the man. But here's the deal. And like to Rob's point, right? Like, I ain't mad if you take Chase too. I'm the upside sexy guy always. So, Kupp at 2 for me just felt kind of like people are forgetting Sean McVay, Matt Stafford, what that offense is, right? You trust Sean McVay, so do I. I trust what we think we're going to see because that's what we've always seen. And to me, that just creates a little bit more of a push for Kupp because there is no other person that is going to catch the rock on that team. They're going to get peppered. They're going to be down in multiple games. And I think Matt Stafford still has some left in the tank. Right. And if McVay didn't still want to coach, he would have been out. My man could have signed with Fox and made $100 million, right? Or whatever the hell he would have made. There's something about him that's pulling him back to this team in this situation of coaching. And I think that all stems from Matt Stafford, bro, because if he didn't trust his quarterback, he's not going to roll like, I'm going to see I think Matt Stafford still has a little bit left in the tank, man. And I do like him this year. Like, I don't know how far he's fallen, but like if I completely punt and I miss Tua and whatever it is, or Jared Goff, like I'm targeting Matt Stafford, bro. And I really feel like that is not that gross of a situation. If you want to take a Ben loves mac and cheese, bro, I'm taking Stafford over mac and cheese. I'm taking Stafford over Ritter. I'm taking Stafford over all these guys people think are better plays than Matt Stafford, bro. But y'all must have forgot.
He's only 2 seasons removed from throwing 41 touchdowns. Like, it's not like he just forgot how to play football. He was just hurt last year.
And 17 picks.
Hey,
that's 30 interceptions.
That's vintage Matthew Stafford that we've always seen. Again, trust with what we know, right? The big takeaway.
Yeah,
I have Tyreek at 4, and I'm like seconds away from. He was the guy that I might move to 2 over Chase instead of Kupp. But yeah, Tyreek's my 4. In best ball, I would take him 2 in best ball, but nearly every other format, probably in any lineup start, he's probably 4 for me.
Same
Consensus.
Can't hear you, Rob.
Mama, can you hear me?
No.
Say
it ain't so, Rob. Say it ain't so.
No. All right, let's get to my wide receiver 5, Jerry Jeudy. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, that last hype tape was pretty real, by the way, though. Doing work without a shirt on. The only reason why I don't like Jeudy, bro, maybe I'm stupid, and it's not that I don't like him, but my man has zero swag, bro. You can't walk onto the field with black cleats, no wristbands, like nothing about you screams swag where I'm just like, this dude's about to do work out there. He's like, black cleats, no wristbands, like 2 gloves. Like, come on, bro. Step your game up, bro. Jerry Jeudy, like, call me, bro. I'll let you know how to look nice on the field, and then maybe I'll raise you up on my draft board.
He's on that Russell Wilson swag plan.
Bootsy. We got you, Rob?
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay now?
Yes,
sir.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm going a little spicy here at what is
Wait,
it?
hold on, Ben. Rob, do you have recap 4?
I have recap 4. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going a little spicy here at 5. I think he takes another step up from what he did last year. And I think the wide receiver that they signed in free agency helps him take that step up. And that's CeeDee Lamb at 5.
Okay.
I ain't mad at it.
Yeah, for me, it's Stephon Diggs. I mean,
Yep.
I think his value is taking a little bit of a shot this offseason with what's been going on recently, but there's no reason to believe why this guy still can't finish as the 1.01. When you're looking at these wide receivers kind of 4 through 8, it's like which is most likely to finish 1. I think Diggs fits that build.
I got Diggs at 5. I got CeeDee at 6. So, ain't nothing changed. That's why, this is – I don't know how important this is to kind of talk through the situation because so many things are interchangeable. I like your point too, Rob. And it feel like, but I don't know if I'm there as Diggs can finish as the one, right? If we're putting, this on paper, like almost want to like lean CD as a little bit more upside than Stephon Diggs. But I don't have him ranked there. I like CD. Diggs feels so safe. Like we talked about when all these the rumors came out and he ain't happy, he ain't going nowhere, bro. And he's about to get force fed. And I love Diggs, but I just like, is he lacking a little bit of upside? Let me ask you guys that question.
Well, I think Josh Allen is a little overrated right now. The exit of Brian Dable impacted him a lot last year, as we saw, and his injury too. The injury did hurt him last year, so I'd like to see how he recoups from that. But everyone thought Gabe Davis was going to be this good wide receiver 2 complement to Stephon Diggs, and he was for week one.
Yeah,
he is. Watch, he'll do it again this year, and will be okay. Sammy Watkins, who, and so them trying to figure out their red zone threat because really they're kind of all over the place in the red zone, right? Josh Allen will run in touchdowns. Stephon Diggs kind of has a red zone present. Devin Singletary last year kind of did as well, but now they're changing it to James Cook playing that Devin Singletary role and Damian Harris. I think Damian Harris, if you're going to take a flyer in the running back room, is the guy to be like an RB5. Like a plug and play flex option, if they're going against a team they need to really slow down the ball with. Damian Harris is the guy to do that if he can stay healthy. But I just think as of right now, and we'll get into this in a sec in our next segment, but I think just Josh Allen needs a little more Dable love.
I have AJ Brown 5, Devontae 6, Diggs 7, and I really struggled not to put Devontae Smith from 8 to 5. My hottest take is I think Devontae is going to outscore AJ Brown, but but I'm gonna stay chill. AJ Brown's my wide receiver 5. And I think Devontae. I know we hate Jimmy Garoppolo, and I'm not gonna pretend to be a fan, but he gets the guy who needs the ball. I know he could do that. If he has to make another read, he's screwed. So, but Devontae is such a good route runner, and they're going to be behind so much that I think Devontae is going to have a vintage season out there. And then 7 is Diggs. Who else are they going to throw to? They don't have anyone else to throw to. So, but AJ Brown. I think Matt Harmon just dropped a reception perception today, and AJ Brown broke it. So there is that.
As an Eagle fan, I love the AJ Brown take. I have him right after Diggs at 6. But just to kind of finish off on Stephon Diggs, I mean, in his 3 seasons in Buffalo, he's been a target monster. He's finished top 5 in each of the last 3 seasons in both targets and receptions. He had career highs in touchdowns last year with 11. So again, I think target volume and offensive potential can get this guy over to the 1 spot. Whereas everyone else, it seems like. I think AJ Brown can also do it, but it's going to be heavily on the touchdown factor for him.
Sure. Yep.
So I think I'm the lowest on AJ Brown. I have him at 6, 7, 8. I got him at 9. So I ain't mad at you, JT, as far as wanting Devontae to kind of step into that. I don't know that you mentioned reception and breaking that. Like when I watch AJ Brown, bro, like there's nothing he does as a route runner that I'm like. Dude's crispy, dude's nice. Like there's no Stephon Diggs tape. There's no Keenan. There's nothing to his game, right? And I know that necessarily isn't his game. So I'm curious to what he actually broke, because in my opinion, man's big, he's strong, he can body somebody, he can catch a TD, but like, is he really doing work in a route tree? Like that doesn't seem like that's AJ Brown's game to me. So I'm kind of curious on what that actually said. But my man gets open, my man can catch the rock. Those knees are getting a little squeaky, but I'm a little bit lower on most on AJ Brown this year, man, and I'm not mad at that Devontae comp.
I think we saw him unlocked. The only thing that I think we could potentially say that might be an issue is switching OC, but I think he showed out. I think he showed he can run routes with the Eagles. At least the Eagles routes, he can run the Eagles routes. I really think he went out there. I don't know. That was me. He doesn't. So like, I think what it is for me is like, he doesn't have to be the crispest route runner because he has elite athleticism. Yeah. So the fact that he just hit that next level in running routes, it looks that much better. So that could be it. He's no longer Tennessee AJ Brown. I think we have to like kind of erase that from our brains here. He's not at Tennessee AJ Brown where he's running a simplified route tree. They don't run many routes there. Everything's off play action. But I think he showed something in Philly this year.
He's a monster, man. I mean, at the end of the day, he's not one of those little guys like, when you look at it, kind of like a Stephon Diggs who
sun god.
You can clearly see that he's creating that separation in and out of his breaks. But AJ Brown's just one of those guys like we've seen in the past with like these larger wide receivers that just throw it up. And he's going to come down with it. And he had career highs in every statistical category last year. And I don't see why that would be a slowdown at age 26.
Yeah. He might be too buff.
That's what I'm saying. Do you guys remember when he hit the Steelers in the corner and he hit them with the little man celebration? It was awesome.
Well, he jumped over everybody, but like, dude, sometimes you watch those plays, you're like, what is the DB doing, bro? Like, where are you looking? How is my man the only person making a play on the ball? And you're like, why are you in the NFL, bro? Because last time I checked, all you have to do is get your head around and put your hands up. They're just like, where's the rock? Oh shit, AJ Brown just bodied all 4 of us. But he's like, I don't hate him.
He did that in the Super Bowl too.
Yeah.
I mean, but that was a dime though too. You know what I'm saying? Like my man just tracked the ball on a different level and found where he threw it. But that was an amazing play. But like real quick though, because JT mentioned it and who I got at 7, and I'm curious where Rob has him is my guy. I'm on Rob. I got him at 7, man. There's just something about this cat where at least for me, right? When I bet against the player and I'm like, too small, man. He ain't never gonna do work. Nothing about his game I really likes. He ain't it. And then he continues to prove me wrong time and time again. And then you bring in Jared Goff, right? Who's their games like morphed into, Voltron, bro. Like their strengths found each other and they absolutely balled out and had a great season. And I really feel like that's going to continue. We talk about the safety of a player like Stephon Diggs with the target share that's locked up. Amon-Ra's a player that I'm all in on, bro. And I will reach on him in the second round. And I want every single share I can of him because it just feels like something is so safe about this cat where I can sleep at night, bro. He's that blanket in my pillow and I'm feeling good about it.
Yeah, I have a little bit of a changing of the guard at the 6 and 7. I have my man Garrett Wilson at 6. I know Flo doesn't like Aaron Rodgers too much, but and Flo will. I think Aaron Rodgers is me today on the Jets, and 2 days ago Aaron Rodgers was on the Packers. And Joe knows what that means, and it's willingness. Like, he's willing to play now. Like, he's willing to actually work. He's willing to do the work. He's willing to teach people. And that's why he's pissed off about Hard Knocks, is because he's trying to implement his knowledge to these young players and really get into them. And he's not coming out and saying he doesn't like rookie wide receivers, even though the Jets don't have any right now. But he's not coming out with any negativity, and especially he's keeping quiet in the New York media, and that's so hard to do. And for him to be willing to be able to put up with that, it means he wants to put in the work to be able to win a Super Bowl, because he's come close a lot. He's won 2 MVPs. He's only won 1 Super Bowl, and that was early on in his career. And so he wants to win another one, and he's going to feed his main target in Garrett Wilson. And so I have a changing of the guard with him at 6, and then the Sun God at 7.
Yeah, for me, I got St. Brown at 8, interchangeable with CD Lamb there. I mean, to every point, I had Amon-Ra on almost every single league, including the one that me and Flojo were talking about earlier where we made the trade. A big believer. I'm a big believer in the offense, first and foremost. I think it does take another step. I think the familiarity with Jared Goff and the system now for a few years helps Amon-Ra. I think we've been able to see what Jared Goff does when he kind of singles in on that wide receiver one as well, especially one was as talented as Amon-Ra. So I think he is one of the safest players that you can get in the second round that is essentially bust-proof, barring injury.
Aaron Rodgers has 4 MVPs, by the way.
Sold him short.
Still only has one Super Bowl, and that's
you respect our savior, all right? You respect our savior.
I mean, he could be a false prophet. Who knows?
Oh, no.
Let's see.
Well, hold on real quick. Ben, could you remove Eat Shit and Die? Because I'm about to go on a tangent about your boy Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
So here's what I'm thinking, bro. Eat Shit and Die is still there. It's blocking my logo. I want people to know how much I don't like Aaron Rodgers.
I don't.
It's on the screen.
It is?
Yeah, you just got to remove the banner.
Oh, I didn't even. It's not showing up here.
Can you hear?
How about now?
Okay, so back to your take, right? The idea that it's pretty speculative, bro, for you to come in and say a player like Aaron Rodgers has changed his ways. He's willing. He's ready to work with these young players. My man took a dark retreat, came out, and Green Bay was like, we're moving on, right? In his mind, should I retire? Should I come back? Green Bay doesn't want me, right? So this whole position of he's a changed man and this is what he's doing. In my opinion, he went to the Jets and everything he's doing is in spite of the Packers, right?
Fine.
But he doesn't have the willingness to do that because that has never been him as a person, as a player, as a leader. He has never done that, right? My man had 2 games over 20 points last season in fantasy. Is he an upgrade? Absolutely, right? But how hard is that from what the Jets had? I'm concerned, right? And it's not just Aaron Rodgers, because he's a great player, bro. The way the man throws the football, he's top 3, 4, 5 all time. But my concern is good team, good defense, right? Decent running game. How many times are they going to be in a situation where my man needs to max out and do work, right? Do I still like Garrett Wilson? Yes. But I just don't know what this dude impact is going to really be from a fantasy standpoint for the Jets, for players like Garrett Wilson in a real life situation, like I think the Jets will be pretty good and they're going to win more games. I just don't know how his addition translates to increased value for all these weapons. And to your point, my man's not coming in willing and change, bro. Tell me what to do. Like, I found God in this dark retreat and I'm willing to help young players. Like, I don't see that, bro.
He wasn't brought in to be like, I'm willing to change. Like, he was brought in to will the other players to change and to grow. And that's what he's doing. He's implementing his system to be able to help a young team really like come into their own. And so, like with Aaron Rodgers, we don't know what the running game is going to be like right now because Breece Hall is coming off an injury. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how we project it. We don't know what's going to happen. And he's Alan Lazard, injury prone as well. Tight end, I mean, Tyler Conklin, and then also CJ Uzomah, injury prone. And then we have the other wide receivers who Denzel Mims and McCole, the gadget Hardman. I mean, there isn't really any clear-cut wide receiver two that can really like take over the reins. And like, I mean, Garrett Wilson is it. Garrett Wilson is that dude. He is that guy. He put up numbers with Zach Wilson. Like if you like, watching the Packers last year, it was crazy. I mean, literally, Romeo Doubs would be running the other way than Aaron Rodgers threw the ball. Like they don't count in the advanced metrics about how many like drops that should have happened. But like even then, like Aaron Rodgers was 12th, right? Aaron Rodgers was 12th in ranks and drops. And so like, I mean, that stat goes up. And I think that there are better pass catchers on the Jets now than there were on the Packers last year because Alan Lazard was hurt most of the year.
I mean, that's fair. I'm curious to what Robin and JT have to think because for whatever reason, when you're selling me on Garrett Wilson, I just don't believe you. So what do you guys think?
I mean, I like Garrett Wilson, but like we said last week, you know, with what's in the box, I think the hype has reached a point where it surpasses his value. That doesn't mean that I don't like Garrett Wilson. That doesn't mean that I don't think he could be a top 10 guy. I'm looking at that Jets defense, man, and I'm looking at Hackett's system. He's going to run a lot of two-back stuff. I could very much see where they just start playing keep away and they just run out the clock there. And I compared to the other wide receivers where they're kind of attached to a little bit of lesser defenses where they're going to have to put up points and their identity is to throw the ball 600 plus times in a season. I don't know. I don't know what to think here. I don't think Rodgers is going to throw the ball 600 times this season. I don't think he needs to with that defense. And that just kind of comes into play for me there. Garrett Wilson individually as a talent, he's probably, you know, he's a top 5 dynasty guy. Like that's kind of undeniable. But I don't know if the hype is gone. What numbers could he put up to justify the hype right now? It'd have to be like 110, 1,400, 13 touchdowns. And if you're telling me I could put that on the market and trade that, I think I'm at this point, I'm looking more at that. Not to say I don't like it. Look, I have no problem with taking Garrett Wilson. I just would rather the guys that I have ranked 1 through 7 a little bit more.
Yeah, for me, Garrett Wilson's number 9. And he finishes the wide receiver 21 last year with, you know,
Flacco and Wilson. Chris Streveler.
with all of those. So when you're telling me that a 4-time MVP, one of the most talented throwers in the history of the game, is going to come into the offense, it's going to have impact. And I think it provides Garrett Wilson with a ceiling that he's never had before or anticipated. And, you know, he is a first-round talent. So for me, I'm just kind of following like the trend that we've been talking about. What have we seen historically? We've seen Aaron Rodgers target the wide receiver 1 at a clip that's elite. When we're talking about Jordy Nelson, Devontae Adams, and this is Randall just Cobb. Now that mold for him on the Jets. He's Jordy, he's Devontae.
Yeah, and for the record on the Rodgers front, I've said it, I'll say it again. This screams, remember when we saw Brady against the Patriots, that last game, his last game as a Patriot against the Titans? I think this is it screams it, man. Rodgers looks rejuvenated. I think we're going to have a vintage season.
Yep.
All right. Well, that brings us to one of two last segments. And, I think, Aaron Rodgers kind of looks like this guy a little bit. And, he's just wondering where.
Put the gun down.
I saw you with the box. What was in the box?
Because I envy your normal life.
Put the gun down, David.
It seems that envy is my sin.
Oh, what's in the box?
Not till you give me the
What's
gun.
in the fucking box?
Give me the gun.
What's in the box is where we talk about players that you sell the bag for. And my number one right now, and I alluded to it earlier, is Josh Allen.
Wow.
How dare you?
Wow.
Your box is empty, bro.
It usually is.
Wow. Say it louder for Rob. He just got back.
So, what's in the box? Selling Josh Allen for the bag. I'm doing it in Dynasty and everywhere.
So my question is, what bag are you getting there? Like, I saw a Josh Allen trade. It was Dak, Tua, and Mac Jones for Josh Allen. And I think, I don't think I'm making that trade because like my philosophy is if I'm giving up a blue chipper, which despite me thinking Ken Dorsey is not an A+ level play caller, Josh Allen's still a blue chipper challenge for distressed assets. So what kind of are you selling Josh Allen for Lamar plus? Are you selling, Josh Allen for, I don't know, Deshaun Watson and Devontae Smith? Those are deals I can get behind that I can kind of wrap my head around. But my question is, it's hard to replace Josh Allen. But I do agree this is a sell high point because I'm just really out on Ken Dorsey. I don't like anything I saw last year. That and they're shifting to 12 personnel that could nerf. That screams to me that we're not doing 630 pass attempts this year.
And I think his rushing upside goes away a little bit this year too.
I still can't get over when he jumped against Miami in the snow globe game where he just jumped over 5 people. That still makes no sense.
I mean, look, if we're being real, bro, like Josh Allen, I told Ben this too. He's my favorite player in the NFL to watch, right? And you bring up, that hurdle over guys, right? You bring up a dude that's willing to lay everything on the line, bro, for a first down to extend a drive to get a dub, right? He's been so close. Like to me, the hunger is boiling inside this man. And, this is the type of player that I'm not selling, right? Especially when you talk about a Dynasty Superflex, like, anchoring your squad for years to come. And I just love, like, to me, he screams football player. And it's rare to get that term from a quarterback because you don't always see that. The definition of a football player, bro, is exactly what I just explained earlier. And I want that on my team, bro. Like, and I know this is fake football, but the reality is I want that dude on my squad because that's an identity to my team, and that drives kind of everything else, right? And in my crazy brain, I'm like, he's getting my other guys up for the game, bro. And everyone's getting hyped because they're following Josh Allen and they're watching him ball out. This is just not a dude that I'm selling. You want to talk about Lamar plus? You want to talk about Hervey plus? Like, I'll entertain that. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like in a dynasty, those dudes are pretty close. But when you want to talk about scrubs like Mac Jones and who else, Desmond Ridder and Tua, who's one hit away, like, no way, bro, not even close. Do you always want to cast out a fish? Absolutely. But like, if you're willing to haul that back in for a Josh Allen player, bro, like check this dude, make sure he's okay. Wellness check on this cat in the league, and make sure like he's operating at a decent standard, bro. Because to me, that's not a trade I would even close to. That's an he should die, bro. Let's get real.
I think I have a question. What if the box is Justin Fields and DJ Moore? You get the stack.
Not quite enough, bro. I need a Lamar Herbie on the way back, just because like I'm a QB guy too, bro, and that's a position that I want to solidify, right? And if I'm losing a top 2-3 guy in Dynasty, it ain't enough, bro. Like I love Justin Fields, the upsides through the roof, but like it's a little scary, bro. Like you lose your safety net and your blanket, and you're sleeping without your blanket, and you're cold, but you're shivering, but you're still kind of passing out. Like I don't like that, bro. I want double blankies, double pillows, AC on 65, and your boy is just CPAP machine.
That's an ideal situation. I think Josh Allen and I think it's kind of gone overboard. I mean, he did have an inconsistent season last year, but it's not like it was far, different than the season before. If you just look at his metrics, that big season where he finished as the quarterback one, he did that 2 straight years, right?
Yeah.
That was the first time that's happened since Aaron Rodgers in like 2009, 2010. So we're talking about a player that is generational, that can potentially lead the league in touchdown passes, and then also have the ability to run at a very rare clip. So I'm with Joe. Like you would have to really give up something crazy to get Josh Allen away from me.
Whoa, how am I getting lumped in the Josh Allen sell phase? I said no. Whoa. Hold on, time out.
The GT, you're wrong.
Guilty by association.
Wow.
Rob, you have any guys that you're selling for the bag?
I got in the wrong submarine.
So just to clarify the segment, selling that I want to acquire or that I'm trying to get rid of?
I think it's more of you're seeing someone's hype surpass their trade value, so you're trying to cash in.
I'm trying to cash in on all things Josh Jacobs, obviously. He's never going to be a higher value. He's still going in the first round. He's still in our top 12 list, in all of our top 12 lists. So he's never going to meet this demand again. So give me a Gibbs in a complimentary pick. Give me a Garrett Wilson. Give me a Chris Olave. I'm looking to take advantage of any young up and coming wide receiver and flip him for a Josh Jacobs if I'm the Josh Jacobs owner.
I like that.
James,
Joe, you got any?
I mean, I was just thinking through a couple players out of spite. I was going to say Brees Hall because of JT's wild comments, but I don't think I'm actually there, especially not in the Dynasty League. But you want to talk about those back end dudes, right? Davante Adams should be in the same conversation as Josh Jacobs, especially in the Dynasty League on players to sell. And I got DA at
Just sell the Raiders.
Yeah, exactly. So I got DA at 8, right? And it just feels so wrong to put him there. Garrett Wilson's around there for me too, but I don't know if JT or Rob are the ones that said it, right? Davante Adams is a special player, right? You want to talk about what this dude, if you want to talk about just like pure talent, receiver, you could argue he's the best in the league, bro. The way he runs the routes, his size, his speed, his hands, separation, everything that he does, like he's up there. He's in that conversation. But here's the problem, right? Jimmy G's coming from a system where everything's timing, bro. Short reads. My man isn't doing anything that the Raiders did last year. He can't even sniff Aaron Rodgers' dirty shorts out of the dark room, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing Jimmy G does that aligns to what Davante Adams does as a strength, and I'm really concerned with that. My man isn't dropping back 5 or 7. He ain't putting it on the back shoulder, bro. He ain't diming anybody up. He ain't throwing any skinny posts. All he's doing is backpedaling and fluttering balls. And in my opinion, Davante Adams is great, but you can only go so far with a QB that does not match your strengths. And the reason why people thought Jimmy G was good is because he fit Shanahan's system perfectly, right? He did everything. I bet you if you actually dug into some tape, the longest completion in Jimmy G's history as a 49er, bro, I bet you he has maybe 3 or 4 passes over 30 or 40 yards, bro. That's not what this dude does. And I'm very, very concerned on DA this year because of who he is as a quarterback.
Could you guys picture a situation where the Raiders are the worst team in the NFL? Potentially they can be. In week 4 or 5, balls are getting thrown at Davante Adams' feet.
Yeah.
It's like I'm done. I don't want to do it. Yeah, I could totally see that happen. So I'm with Joe on the nothing against Davante Adams as a talent. He's just on a bus that's on fire, headed downhill off a cliff.
I have a guy at each spot. I mean, at the quarterback spot, my number one sell is Jared Goff. I just don't get how this guy is making it into the 4th and 5th round of Superflex startups. I don't get it. I don't understand it at all. I was in Dynasty. I saw in a startup draft, he went ahead of Bryce Young, and I lost. I almost quit right then and there.
Wow.
He went ahead of Bryce Young. So Goff, I just don't see another top 10 season. It was quarterback Armageddon last year. I don't think that's going to happen again. Running back, I think I got Ramondre, man.
Let's go.
I have Ramondre where it's not that I don't like the player. I think Ramondre's probably going to put up a fringe RB1 season. If you want to keep him, I don't have a problem. But I really think what you can get for him right now is it surpasses what I think he's going to do. And when that happens in Dynasty, I'm mostly speaking from a Dynasty perspective here, it doesn't really matter. I'm not attached to anyone. Once I get something that surpasses, especially at that position, I'm going to take it. So with Ramondre, you could get a mid-1 next year plus. So I think I just watched him go for Chubb and a 1. So that's woo. And then at wide receiver is Christian Watson. I'm so out on Christian Watson and it's not even really a Christian Watson problem. Even though he kind of screams a little Chase Claypool-y kind of profile, to me, it's more that Jordan Love is throwing ducks and we're not even in training camp yet. They literally posted, like Matt LaFleur said in a press conference, yeah, he can't throw on the run, but like Peyton Manning threw ducks and won a Super Bowl. So that's
He's got a long way to go from the pocket.
That's not what I want to hear, man.
And going to Rob's point of worst teams in the NFL, could the Packers be the worst team in the NFL at the end of the year this year?
No,
Defense is still solid.
That defense is really good. It would be really hard pressed. They still have a really strong home field advantage. Really weak division. I'd be shocked.
Raiders are going to be bottom 5 in both offense and defense. It's going to be a bit of a dumpster fire. I still believe in the Packers organization to put something together that's not disrespectful. So
I hate Gutekunst. Gutekunst is my least favorite guy in the league, though. I hate their GM.
Yeah. Well, here's this: if you had to pull one, do you want Jimmy G or do you want Jordan Love as your quarterback if you're an NFL organization?
Jimmy G.
Dang.
Give me Jordan Love.
Jimmy G. Jimmy G.
Jimmy G's really just there to like pave way for the second Mr. Irrelevant and Aiden O'Connell.
I know Jimmy G will follow the game plan. I don't know that about Jordan Love.
Wait, is Aiden the dude that took the sketchiest pictures for any person in their uniform for all of the rookies? Is that him or no? Oh, that was homeboy on the Saints. That was homeboy on the Saints.
Aiden O'Connell looks like who Hollywood would hire to play Derek Carr in a movie.
Yes.
Okay, I think I said, but no. So it was the rookie quarterback on the Saints. Did you guys see his photo shoot?
No. Oh yes. I did.
Oh
Bro,
yeah.
It was
Jake Haener.
Yes. I was like, bro, you just lost all respect in the locker room, bro. Like, you need to go to a different team. Actually, you can't even go anywhere in the NFL after that, bro. No, you're
also, the number 1 pick is going to be the Cardinals. I think that's.
Oh.
So where do they trade
way.
Kyler then?
That's a nasty team too.
They have
where
nothing.
do they trade Kyler then? If
they have Jonathan Gannon with his creepazoid eyes. I don't like that guy. I don't like that.
Sketchy.
I don't like that. I don't like that guy.
The conversation with Rondell. Oh my god, that was awkward.
I mean, with that said, you can buy Kyler Murray for
bag of chips.
What kind of chips? Because I don't know if I'd sell any bag of chips for Kyler Murray.
Hey, bro, go fishing. You know, Kyler's the type of player, especially in Dynasty.
Flamin' Hot Cheetos. I draw the line at Flamin' Hot Cheetos. I will sell Flamin' Hot Cheetos, but
Flamin' Hot Cheetos are fire though.
Kyler is I think his market's going to keep. It's going to keep going down. It's kind of like he's dropped to the 4th round in Dynasty startups right now.
It's him riding the rides at Disneyland, huh? Wee.
He might be in the Mickey Mouse outfit soon.
Yeah, no, Toontown. Yeah, he's in Toontown.
And my last one is Miles Sanders. All the hype around him with the new O-line in Carolina, getting the bag. I think him getting another year older. He's 26 now, right? I believe. And so I think you could get pretty good value for the ex-Eagle, and I think his value won't be higher than it is right now, especially if he doesn't perform to expectations this year at least.
He's wearing number 6. So I can't trust it.
I think it's fresh, bro. Give me that swag. That looks fly. Rob, hey, you don't get Rob started, bro. He just had a post on Miles Sanders today. Why don't you talk to him, Rob?
I love Miles Sanders.
Whoa. How? You're an Eagles fan.
Right? Shocker. But no, I think Miles Sanders is just in a position where he's just going to get opportunity. Not so much that I'm believing that this guy's going to finish as a top 5 or even top 10. But when I see him going at the end of the 5th round, that tells me like, okay, there's a problem here. Like, what are we not doing? So the more you crunch the numbers, the more that you really start to understand this guy was brought in at a very big salary. Like, he is one of the most expensive running backs in all of the NFL. He has the 6th largest per year salary in the NFL at the running back position. You don't pay the guy that much money if you're not intending to utilize him. Furthermore, he's joining a team with a former offensive coordinator in Frank Wright of the Philadelphia Eagles. His former running back coach in Deuce Staley is now his running back coach in Carolina. You even have Josh McCown in the coaching staff, who is also part of that Philadelphia Eagle organization. So, it all lines up. I tend to kind of lean with what I've seen, and I'm looking at the money, and I'm looking at the opportunity, I'm looking at the belief in the coaching system and saying, yeah, this guy is going to get a good, steady workload in an up-and-coming offense. And you're looking also at a quarterback that historically dumps off to the running back position. So give me Miles Sanders as my RB3 all day long this year.
Good O-line. Good O-line, too. Good O-line, too.
Fantastic O-line, too. Yep.
I think Sanders is a mid-season sell for me, though. Like, if he pops off, like, in the first 6 weeks, sell. Because
he fits that mold too, like
paper mache hamstrings, baby. Paper mache hamstrings.
All right, we ready to get into our last segment, the most infamous segment of them all, the one Flojo loves the most.
You're gonna love this too, Rob. Check this video.
What do we got?
Here we have the one to.
Oh God, I'm gonna have diarrhea again. It's okay. Mom, bathroom.
Oh, that's a big boy, isn't he?
Yeah.
He left. He
said
I'm out.
I hope he's
You guys, I'm so sorry. My network sucks.
Bro, should we play it again?
No.
Play it again. He hasn't
Play it
seen
again?
it.
Okay.
No, run it back.
Oh God, I'm gonna have diarrhea again. It's okay. Mom, bathroom.
Oh, that's a big boy, isn't he?
Isn't he a big boy?
Yo, hey, I just realized the poop on the mom's shirt too. I never realized that. That is great.
So for everyone who's watching, this is a segment where you have some rhetoric with someone about a trade, and then they come back to you after everything. You think you get somewhere, and they just send you the most ridiculous offer that you could ever imagine. So JT, do you have an infamous eat shit and die?
I do. Someone tried to send me Derek Carr, Wan'Dale Robinson, and a 2nd-round pick for Devontae Adams and Tony Pollard.
You accepted it, right?
Of course not. It was an orphan. He just joined the league. It is a dynasty super flex, start 10. When someone first comes into the league, just kind of what I say. So I don't immediately go to eat shit and die, especially when they took over an orphan and I don't know who they are. Usually I'll lead with, thanks for checking if I'm brain dead. And then if they get offended at that, I'll explain. I'll be like, look, man, I know you're new. You want to just see if you want to see my skill level, like whatever, no problem. I send them out too. But come on, find me a calculator that said this was okay, and then we'll be all right.
Don't you speak the calculator word on this show, man? No,
well, I'm the one who shits on the calculators.
I know, me too.
But I'm just saying to put it within the right stratosphere.
No, I know.
We're not even in the right zip code. Like, give me something. But yeah,
well, it's funny because like if I pick up a team, like if I'm the orphanee and I pick up the team, right? If I'm Mary Poppins, and like I will do that to see where the league is at, because I have no clue. I don't know anyone in the league. Like I will go in and just send the most ridiculous offers just to see how many people I can get to hate me in a span of 2 hours.
That's my goal when I come into a league. I want everyone to hate. Wrong strategy, Benny.
Eventually it'll hit. You're going to get it one time. 1 out of 17 leagues if you're in every year.
Maybe.
You'll get one of those
well,
situations.
The one word of caution I would give anyone out there, like if you do pull off a trade where you heist someone, just be prepared that they're never going to trade with you again. That's right. It. So if you're going to get them, make sure you get them for everything. Don't think that.
He knows from experience.
Yes, I in the Dynasty League that me and Ben are in, no one will trade. I have to lose trades from now on. No one will trade with me.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so just understand, if you do fleece somebody, that's it. You lost a trade partner.
Oof.
Go to jail. No get out of jail free card. Don't cross home. It's a wrap.
I have another one. I am sending out Elijah Moore and Alexander Madison and getting back Rondale Moore and Brian Robinson.
That's gross.
Many men. Many men.
Do you think I just didn't pay attention during the offseason? Like,
Dalvin Cook's still there, bro.
Rob, what you got?
Oh man. So I have a crazy looking dynasty league, right? So my wide receivers are Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Devontae Smith.
Yeah. Hey, bro, take it easy, bro. Take it easy.
I know.
You got Desmond Ridder at quarterback?
I'm just kidding. But because I have such a good stack of wide receivers, he offered me Travis Etienne in a second for Justin Jefferson. I was like,
Wow, the running back that's lost the most value this offseason.
Hey, but a second rounder, right?
Yeah.
Never know.
So that was one of the ones that was laughable recently. And then halfway, I just wanted to show off that wide receiver core.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about.
So real quick, because JT mentioned it, like Travis Etienne is an ADP fade for me 100% this year, right? They drafted Tank Bigsby. I think they have Dearness there.
Yeah.
So, like, they have players that are going to take – this man's not going to see a 90% opportunity share, right? He's being drafted way too soon for what we're projecting him to be. He doesn't profile as a between the tackles type of back. He's not going to be that, right? I'm trying to, Roshan Johnson and Tank Bigsby are my two rookies that I'm targeting at every single end of every single one of my drafts this season. And I just love what the position and the situation those dudes are falling into. I just can't get behind Travis Etienne, bro. I don't know if it's his face. I don't know if it's his neck. I don't know if it's everything about his picture and sleeper, right? the dude has some upside. I'm not going to sit here and say that my man isn't a decent player, but for where he's going, what he's going to see in regards to touches and the type of player people are profiling him to be doesn't equate, bro. 1 + 1 is 3, and I'm confused, right? So I am fading Travis Etienne this year. What y'all think?
I'm a Travis Etienne defender a little bit, right? So. Yeah. Remember last year we were like Travis Etienne might catch 70 passes.
Yeah,
he is that guy that is a PPR machine. We even statted him out to his time back in Clemson with Trevor Lawrence. It was like, man, he catches passes out of the back. They didn't use him like that at all. They used him as if he was Derrick Henry, and he had a pretty productive year. He ran over he was 5.1 yards per carry. He ran over 1,250 yards, so he had a pretty decent clip as a running back. He just was not utilized as a pass catcher. So I think the hope and saving grace for his value is that maybe they go back and say, hey, I think we want to use you the way we intended to use you, and maybe limit these carries. And maybe you see that kind of just, even off, and he finishes as a top 15 to 17 running back. That's my hope for Travis Etienne. In some cases, he's getting so much hate that he's falling into sometimes even the Miles Sanders territory. So at the right value, I'm willing to take the risk that they're going to use him in the way that they intended to last year. And that is the only thing I'm holding my hat on when it comes to Travis Etienne, because I'm also freaked out a little bit too.
I just to expand on what you said, especially when you look at what's happened at Jacksonville this offseason. They lost Jawan Taylor to the Chiefs. Cam Robinson, their starting left tackle, he's suspended for the first 4 or 6 games. So I actually like that they added running back depth. I like that they added guys to kind of be the in-between the tackles grinders, because that's not his skill set. He is a Tony Pollard home run type. So I think that this is actually a good thing for him. One of the comps that we saw for ETN was Kamara. Now, I don't like those comps. I don't like generational comps for guys. That freaks me out. I don't think he's Kamara, but as we know, running backs that catch 50 to 60 passes, those are indispensable in PPR. So I do think that we're going to see his workload scaling back is going to produce dividends for us moving forward as ETN owners. And so I'm buying him more than anything right now. I just flipped Damian Pierce for him, and I couldn't be happier.
That's solid. But let me ask you this though, right? So if we're projecting him to see more volume in the passing game, like where is that going to come from, right? They signed Calvin Ridley, right? Evan Ingram they brought back as well. Christian Kirk, is still good. Like, to me, Christian Kirk is an amazing player. Like, I was high on Ridley initially, and like I'm starting to back off a little bit because he's going to end up going at the end of the 3rd round. And to me, Christian Kirk in the 6th versus Ridley in the 3rd, like I trust that, bro. Christian Kirk isn't sexy. There's nothing about his game that you love, but my man will produce, right? So with all the weapons that they have in this offense, bro, like where does Travis Etienne kind of slide into what we're hoping is his pass catching role now? And he's deferring those rushing attempts that, buoyed his fantasy value last year. Like, how does he even fit into this offense in a role that we haven't even seen yet?
Well, I would say Rob could probably back me up here. Doug Peterson is a 600 pass attempt guy. So there's more than enough pass attempts here. I mean, look at Carson Wentz in year 2. He threw the ball 600 plus times. As he gets comfortable with somebody, especially someone who's more talented in Trevor Lawrence, I think we're really going to see an emphasis on, hey, Trevor, you're too valuable to us. We don't want you to take those wild runs anymore, because guess what? I already saw what happened to my guy that played like you and Carson Wentz. I know that sounds crazy to say right now, but Carson Wentz was the number 2 overall pick at one point, and he was thought of as an MVP candidate until he broke his leg. Right. So I think coaches learn from their previous mistakes. I don't think Peterson's going to put Trevor Lawrence in that kind of predicament like he did with Carson Wentz. I also think that they're going to have to see a schematic change when you're missing your 2 starting tackles to start the year. So that's why I think we're going to see that implemented.
I buy everything that you said, but also go back to the impact that someone like Trevor Lawrence has on decision making. For a majority of his collegiate and professional life, he's looked back and had Travis Etienne in the back, right? That has to mean something. Like, his involvement isn't going to go 50% snap. Here comes Tank Big. Here comes a rookie. All of a sudden, it doesn't make sense that his splits are just going to completely go down, to 50% or lower. So for me, it's just they're going to use him in a different way, and I don't think that's being talked about enough. I think people just look at what he did last year, and for me, he outperformed what I thought he could even do as a rusher. I'm more excited about him, Flojo, than anything. And back to JT's point also, when Doug Peterson was calling shots in Philadelphia, Miles Sanders as a rookie had a career high in targets and receptions. So it's like, once he finds his guy, he'll utilize him in a way that he feels is best. So, yeah, give me ETN.
All right. I still don't like him.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence doesn't have to ask where his starting running back is anymore. Those days are over.
Yeah, Travis, I like Travis Etienne to a point. I mean,
you just like French names.
Yeah, Charbonnet, Etienne.
Sure.
He
Yeah.
He is a chef. He is a chef.
Yeah,
so.
there it is.
I mean, so like Trevor Lawrence was 9th in deep ball attempts last year, and I think that even takes a step up with Calvin Ridley on the field. You know, I mean, he was 6th in true passer rating, and you know his accuracy, it speaks volume and grows every single year as a young budding superstar. You know, shows and like that happens with. And you know, calling him it's almost illegal to call anyone Alvin Kamara because they were literally just dumping the ball off the whole time, and Alvin Kamara was just like making people miss, and his juke rate was like out of this world. And so like with him being able to catch the ball and really like I like the comp to Tony Pollard and the big playability. But you know, I mean, it's tough. He faded off towards the end of last year. I mean, you know, they started implementing other running backs, and honestly, I think it was to give him a break. So I think he comes back a little spicier this year, another year removed from the injury, and because obviously it took a toll. Like he couldn't play through it. Najee played through it. He couldn't play through it because it was even worse than same injury, just worse. So you know the opportunity is there. I mean, you know, let's just hope JaMychal Hasty doesn't do anything now. All right. But like, I mean, with all these running backs, like there's something to be said about how good they were in college and how good they will be in the NFL, because like I've kind of said about the rookie wide receivers incoming, it's like they're either the changing of the guard in the way the wide receivers are built in the NFL, or they're just going to get smashed. Because like, I mean, like all these running backs are small. They're small. And like half of them aren't as stocky and small, which you kind of need to be if you're going to be that. So like, I like Travis Etienne, but I also don't like the fact that he has to share targets with Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, and Evan Ingram.
Yeah, there's definitely gonna be a bust in that lineup, right? There's no way that because right now we're looking at each of these weapons as top 15 to 25 finishes. It's like that doesn't add up unless you have a Peyton Manning type Broncos season, you know. So you're right. There's going to be someone that ends up on the wrong side of this list.
Shout out to Julius Thomas, baby. Let's go.
Yo,
won me so many leagues.
So good.
Wow. And so on that note, that brings us to the end of Fantasy Shot Callers Live. I'm your boy, Chef Dunna. Rob, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a blast. I didn't even expect to be on here this long, and it feels like it was a blink of an eye. JT's blinking his eyes because it's about 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Well, and you know, we do it for you. Thank you all that have tuned in this whole time. I know you're here, you're loved, and we do it for you. So keep coming back.
Real quick, I just want to shout out Rob, man. Rob, appreciate you, bro. Thanks for coming on, man. You're obviously the day one. Always showed love, always supported, you know, encouraged, you know, do your thing, bro. And like it's so rare to have a dude like you in the community. Well, not rare because there's great people here. But just for you to always kind of show love and have my back, our backs throughout the process, man, like for being as big as you are on IG, like much love, man. Thank you so much.
No, I appreciate it.
I met a unicorn, man, a sane Eagles fan.
That is a little bit of a unicorn, no doubt about it. Yeah. And no, I appreciate it, Joe. Thanks for having me on. I'm always going to be cheering for you guys. And there's a lot of great dudes out in this industry that need to be amplified a little bit. So if I could do anything to help that, then I'm going to make sure that I do that every day that I can. So I got you.
Thanks, brother.
Oh yeah. Thanks, bro. And so that brings us, like I said, to another end of the episode. Y'all know what it is. Fantasy is life. You know it's a vibe. Keep tapped in because the pipeline never dies. Peace and love, y'all.